Welcome everyone to a discussion I am so excited to be a part of, because the second you watch Losing Alice, all you want to do is call every single one of your friends and sit on Zoom and talk about it and dissect the complex relationships and think about the meanings behind all of the decisions that are made. So this is going to be a blast for me personally, and hopefully for you. Losing Alice, which is streaming on Apple TV Plus, yet another incredible TV series to come out of Israel, is about a director named Alice, played by Ayelet Zurer, who feels like she may be past her time of creative fulfillment when she meets a very compelling screenwriter named Sophie, played by Lihi Kornowski. Created, produced, and directed by Sigal Avin, Losing Alice is thrilling, it's dramatic, it's spellbinding, it's creepy, it's exciting, it's sexy, and it is already one of the most talked about shows this year. And welcome to Sigal, Ayelet, and Lihi.
Hi.
Hi.
Jessica.
I'm so happy to be with all of you. I want to start with Sigal. Tell me, how did the idea for this show come into your head?
Wow. It started, I think, from the image of the two women on the train, which we see in the pilot episode. And I started exploring those two characters, the older director and the younger screenwriter fan, and I kind of went from there. I mean, I started exploring those characters, understanding what they want from each other. I really kind of connected and loved this, the Alice character, and thought that could be like a portal of all these things I guess I wanted to say. And I think the fact that the image was on the train kind of, I understood that it's time for the genre that I always wanted to do, I guess. I grew up on this genre, and it was like, I think I always knew there would be a moment when I would finally have my moment with this genre as well. So that's kind of.
I wanted to ask about casting this show, because without these two people, I can't even imagine anyone else being in these roles. And it's so important to have the exact right person for Alice and the exact right person for Sophie. So what was it about these two actresses that made you say, I want them for these roles? And Ayelet and Lihi, I'm coming to you next on that one.
First of all, you're absolutely right. I don't, I can't imagine these characters done by anyone else. And I was lucky and fortunate to have these really amazing actresses. I think Ayelet and Lihi are, and really, and the trust that's needed between directors and actors to do these parts. But Lihi came in for Sophie, I think the first day we were doing auditions for Sophie. Limor Shmila is the amazing casting director. And I think from the first time Lihi came in, it was obvious she was Sophie. And we kept bringing her back to matches and auditions just to be sure, because we were like, there was a dream of having, for some, I knew it was her, some wanted like a face that nobody had seen before, and at some point I was like, look all you want, that she's Sophie. And so it was actually, and I was still writing some of the episodes at that point, so I actually already had Lihi in mind, like writing some of the episodes for Sophie. And then Alice was like, we couldn't find her. And at some point people were pressuring me.
In Los Angeles.
Yeah, no, she was lost. She lost Alice.
I was losing, she was, and Ayelet Ayelet was, of course, on the list and one of the people we were thinking of. And she was in LA, and she wouldn't audition on Skype. There was no Zoom back then, and really all of Israel's like most amazing actresses were auditioning for it, and and they were amazing, but there was something missing, and I wasn't finding the thing that I needed. And also the dynamics when we were doing matches between Sophie and whoever was auditioning for Alice, it was more of a mother-daughter kind of chemistry, which is wrong for the series. And then by chance, we've told this story a lot of times, but it was Passover, and I thought, a lot of times during the holidays, people from abroad are in Israel, and I just texted, and we were like in pre-production and had to find an actress, and I texted Ayelet if maybe she was in Israel, and she was, not because of the holidays, because her mother was sick, and she came in to read, injured, and she came in to read with Lihi and Gal, and it was just the moment she walked in, and the chemistry they had together, it was clear that's it, that's the show. The chemistry was suddenly like two worthy rivals, and this tension and everything that Alice and Sophie needed to have.
Ayelet, can you tell me a little bit about that day when the two of you tested together?
Yeah, it's true. I didn't want to audition on Skype. I did not think I would be getting the part with that boundary. I just didn't trust myself, and so I let it go. And then my mom was injured, and I had to fly her from the U.S. to Israel for an elbow surgery. She came to visit me and fell down. And so my mind was not at all around getting a role or anything like that. And when Sigal texted me again, and the timing of it all, and I had a hunch that something's weird is happening, It's always with my mom that things interesting are happening to me, that I thought, I should probably do it no matter what. And I said to Sigal that I'll do it. And she said it would be a match with Lihi and with Gal. And so I came in, and I remember that the first thing that happened to me was, so I was coming just to make it clear from a very non-glamorous background, from hospitals and flights and just being a mom. And it was very, now I'm walking into an audition, and I had no concept of like how many auditions and tests Lihi went through and how long Sigal was looking. I was very much in my non-glamorous hospital mode. And the first thing that happened was that Lihi said, "How can I have a selfie?" And she freaked me out so badly and put me in a stage where she did me a huge favor, because she immediately put me in a stage where Alice is compared to Sophie in that particular moment, because, it was kind of like the positioning of me not having anything special going right now, and the hospitals and all that, and then coming into a room thinking, here's the actress, that's supposed to be, whatever, coming from the U.S., all that stuff. And it immediately had me thrown off my game, and I had to play the game. And right then and then I realized that this was kind of where Alice was for that particular scene. And then Gal came in, and we did the marriage scene, and there's something very special about him. He is not the actor per se, the actor that studied 3 years and did Shakespeare or whatever. He's a musician, he's an artist, and he's a very truthful, honest. His performance is very raw, and I really dig that. I was immediately very connected to him, and I remember reading with him, and I felt very comfortable. And then I remember when I met with Sigal that evening when she said, "It's yours. What do you think? Let's have a conversation." I remember saying, "But Lihi is Sophie," and I remember saying, "And Gali is my husband," right? I was already attached in some way to the whole process, and it was really.
Lihi, did it when you and Ayelet met and when you tested together, did it feel different for you? Because the connection between these two women is so complex, and it really just runs the gamut of respect and stalker and adoration and revulsion, and there's so many things. And did you have that immediately with her?
I think that I had it immediately with her, but I didn't know it, because I admire Ayelet since I was young, and she entered to the room, and I was so excited, and I really wanted to do a selfie with her. So I made a lot of editions of Sophie, and all the time I was like, oh my God, when Sigal will tell me if I get the part or not get the part, And so we had that connection, and when Ayelet gets into the room, I was like, oh my God, I'm freaking out. I don't know what to do. Like, I had to do a picture with her. But so yeah, it's very funny, and I was stupid and a bit Sophie. It was a bit Sophie. It was a bit act of Sophie, But
true.
But I think that while we shooted, so I think that Ayelet made a really a smart decision and really loyal to the story, because she didn't want us to be friends. She didn't want us to be really connected, between the takes, because then the tension will go away. And it was really important to her. And only when I watched the series, like a year after, I understand how it was important that Ayelet decision, because then I saw the tension and all what Sigal was telling me all the time, that actress after actress that came to the room, and she all the time felt that it's a daughter and a mom, and suddenly they have two women, two generations, but it's and they have all the complexity of their relationship, so yeah.
Lihi, I'm curious how you figured out how to approach just how unhinged Sophie is throughout the series, because there'll be an episode and it's so gradual. It's so beautifully paced and gradual that all of a sudden something that might have shocked you in episode 1, by episode 4 or 5, you're like, yeah, that's Sophie. How did you know how to adjust just how maybe unstable at times she is?
Actually, I had an immediate connection with Sophie, like from the beginning. When I got the text for the first audition, so she has it was the train scene, and she has like a real big monologue there. And I felt that I can hear her tone, like, I don't know, like, and Sigal loved it. I didn't know that Sigal loved it. After I got the part, she said that she loved the tone that I paint, the monologue and the sentences. But I felt like, I had so much auditions that I felt like every audition I'm getting closer to the character. And I understand her more and more, and I felt like if I want to play Sophie, so I need to be like the most to have the most confidence that I have. So I had to search all the confidence that I have and to be shameless. To be shameless with, you know, with eye contact, to be shameless to just touch you if I want, to be, you know, to break all the distance that you have with normal people when you meet them. So, and she's written like that. And so I understand that that's the character. That's how she acts. That's how she lives, you know. And of course, I all the time search for something like why she does that, why she's so unique with those freely way and sexually open way, you know. Why she does it? Because she's not. You don't see, even if you see it on an older person, you know, like an older woman. If she acts so sexually open, you ask yourself, what's happened with her? Why she act like that? But also you ask yourself that with young generation, like, you know, you see a lot of girls went out to bars and drinking and try to like be so cool and try to be the right person and try to be like, you know. So I ask myself all the time why she does that, you know. What's her pain?
I think it's so interesting, Lihi, what you just said, because I also felt that watching that there's a relationship also with the viewer and the show. And I found as I was watching it at times, I would be making assumptions or asking questions about Sophie or Alice, and then I would have to take a step back and say, oh, what are those preconceived understandings of women, whether by age or comfort with their sexuality or desire to be creatively fulfilled or desire to have a really great job? What are those things that we bring to the table? Ayelet, what did you think of Alice when you got to know her? And was there a moment where you said, okay, now I get this person?
It was a gradual falling in love, I guess, because, and I'm leaving aside the fact that I had tremendous respect to the writing, because I think Sigal is an amazing writer, and particularly here she achieved something so unique because of the way she breaks down the characters and our perception of the characters, and she does something very special. But for me, Alice, it was a gradual understanding of what she's about. I did understand deeply the need to be creative, and I do understand on a very deep level the need to do that no matter what. And I do understand the tunnel vision that she's getting into and how risky it becomes. All these things I got, but there was a discussion that I remember having with Sigal where for some reason, I can't even remember why, but in my mind, there was a victim aspect to her choices and how she goes about it. And then we talked about that, and Sigal was saying that everything is by choice. There's no victimizing here at all. And once this clicked to me and I understood that everything that Alice does, she does by choice, because she has a deep desire to create. She has a deep desire to go deep into her fear, her emotions, the things she's disgusted but also attracted to. And she's really kind of like a phoenix, you know. She's like, she will burn everything down just to have that feeling. Once I got that, I really fell in love with her, because it's riding a passion wave. You know, Lihi was talking about music, and I really relate to that. I also hear music when I see stories and I see characters. I can really relate to that. So once I got the right wavelength, this was like so much fun. It was also hard, but it was also fun. Addictive in a way, like Alice is. She's addicted. She's an addict, really.
I want to know what music you guys listen to before you film scenes.
Ooh, Sigal has to tell you that. Oh, she's so good. She has a phenomenal list.
It's true.
Are you asking that regarding the fact that I direct with music, by the way? So I don't know if you're asking that because you know. Oh, I didn't. Because you know that, or because you're.
I didn't know that. What do you mean you direct with music?
Yes. It's a technique that I use as a director, and kind of before a scene, I will put on a certain song so that the actors understand the tone that I want to create in the specific scene. And there's a lot of there's also a lot of scenes in this series that don't have dialogue, and so sometimes in those scenes I would just keep playing the music because like when you're filming, you when you're talking, you have to put the music off. Because I think there's something in music that you can really create an atmosphere, and it puts everybody can get into the same tone, and sometimes it can even give you a body movement. So there were a lot of songs and music that we were listening to throughout the series, like while blocking the scene, like a second before shooting.
Like what? Tell us some songs.
There's many. It's very.
It was classical music, right?
A lot of classical music. A lot of.
For me, it was never classical.
Funky music.
For you, it was never classical, really?
No. Yeah.
No, it was classical for you when you were reading the script.
Oh, maybe then, yes. But not with me and David, if I remember, or me and Lihi.
No.
Alice and Sophie.
Yeah.
I love that. I think that's so interesting. Sigal, I did want to ask you what Ayelet just said about talking to you about Alice and figuring out how at any given time in any given episode, either Sophie or Alice could be a victim or a perpetrator, depending on where they are in the story. And how did you approach writing that, Sigal, and directing that?
First of all, I'm really happy that's the feeling that kind of, because I think women, the way we're judged in society today, it's always also like between being the victim and being the person that's making the choices, and while writing this, it really was a different process than anything I'd ever written before, because I really I created two very strong characters and kind of let them take me through the story, and I was back and forth, and I really explored. I could really explore this in a way that I got a lot of freedom from the production company, from Dory Media, and from Hot, the Israeli network that it was on, to really kind of have fun and do my thing. I didn't have to give in like treatments and arcs and know from the top, like you do in most series, where you're going, and then sometimes I guess if you know, it's more obvious for the audience as well. So the fact that I was really exploring and kind of, it became like addictive to me as a writer, because I didn't know, like it was, I have to get back to the computer to see where these characters are going to take me. And so in that sense, and then I think it was always connected to something very deep and real, and to real issues that I wanted to say and explore as a woman, and being a mother and a wife, and on one hand, and the urge to create and be able to do my thing on the other hand. So it was.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've described it. I've read other interviews. You described it as a love letter to female directors, and which I think is so important. I think especially because there, it seems that women on screen, whether in actual life or on the screen in this universe that you've created, if you're 20 something, you have your role, and if you're maybe 70 something, you have your role, and there's that middle ground of women that Hollywood or the film and TV industry in Israel or wherever doesn't quite know what to do with, and just has a general discomfort with, because they can't figure out exactly what are you. And Ayelet, did that aspect of this show speak to you?
Very much so. And funny enough that you mention it, because yesterday I was looking at something online, and I stumbled upon an article about Anna Magnani, the film actress who is one of my absolute favorite. She's Italian. And it talked about how in the 50s, when she broke into the American market, they were writing about her that she's squarish and not looking great, and she has weird teeth, yet she's an absolute explosion of talent and things like that, and how refreshing her approach was, because she was so naturalistic, and all the Hollywood films represented women in such an archetype way that she kind of broke the mold. And not to say that this is the same, because she's really high up in my, but in a way, Sigal has done that in her writing, because she took characters that we think they're going to go one way, and then they go another way, and then they go another way, and in the end it goes back to the beginning, and you kind of, some people watch it twice, and I think the reason they watch it twice is because they don't get it, because it doesn't sit inside the mold, inside the drawers, inside the archetypes that we're so used to seeing and we expect in some ways.
I found these two characters of Alice and Sophie, they're almost like magnets, and when one pushes more, the other's pulling more, and vice versa. And in many ways, they both want to be what the other, or they both want what the other has at different points. Lihi, did you have moments where you had questions that you went to Sigal and said, I don't understand this, why Sophie would do this?
Actually, I don't remember. Maybe Sigal remembers something like that, but I don't remember that that I had like maybe Sigal thinks about something.
No, I actually think that I think Lihi really understood Sophie very, very well, and the music she was talking about in the beginning, I think. As a director, like when I hear an actress or actor doing the text as I wrote it, like in the tone, because you write it in a certain way, you hear it in your head, and then all these actors can come in and they're doing it in a certain way, and it's not the way you wrote it in your head. And then when you hear the actor that comes in and they're saying it exactly the way that you heard it in your head, that's when you go, Or if it's suddenly even better than you heard it in your head. It's like something you didn't. It's not as you heard it in your head, but it's ooh, that's even. So both of these beautiful ladies, they had that, and so there was never. I don't remember with neither of you like. I mean, we explored and we dug deep to kind of understand the pacing, but they both kind of really understood their characters and kind of took them and filled them with their things. Like,
I mean, like I felt that her Sophie's will was so clear to me, So I don't think that I had a scene that I didn't know why she's doing that, because it was really clear to me that she doesn't see, she's like she sees her boyfriend, like her big boyfriend, you know, her father's issues she have, and she in the end I feel that I feel that she sees Alice, but I think that she's only see her creation and what is good for her creation and how she sees her creation. And she sees that Alice is the director and Gali and David is the actor, the main actor, and you know, and every time something is going wrong, so she will do anything, even mean things or manipulative things, to make it right as she sees it. So I think her will was like her will. How can I say ratzon? Like desire,
passion.
Like like her passion, like her biggest passion to make her creation alive as she sees it. So it was very clear to me.
I love that Losing Alice is airing now during the pandemic in the United States. I mean, for many reasons. One, because we get to watch a great show, but also it feels appropriate to this time in some ways. There's a loneliness about it. There's a figuring out what happens when I come out of this time about it that feels eerily appropriate in many ways. And I was wondering how was it? I think it aired in Israel in March, so maybe before everything, or just at the very beginning when things were starting to lock down.
June.
It was in June? Is the reaction in Israel any different than the reaction here? Do you find the response, I don't know, just different depending on who was watching it?
Oh my God, I totally felt it.
You did? How so?
I don't know, because I feel like, you know, in Israel, I talked about it a lot, because, you know, in Israel, they don't usually do that genre. They usually, I don't want to judge, I don't want to like be judgmental, you know, but most of the shows here in Israel, it's about cops, it's about the religion stuff, it's about army, it's about wars that we had here in Israel. And I mean, there is a place for a genre like that, and there is a few series in that genre, but it's not really common here in Israel. And I felt like Losing Alice came in Israel. It felt like, because all of that, you know, it's really a lot of with the kinky and a lot of like with the sexual part. So it was like something else here in Israel, like something they've never seen here in Israel. And I really felt the difference between like how it came here in Israel and how it came in the US, you know, because I felt like there's a lot of space for that genre in the US. So
Yeah.
yes, I feel totally the difference.
Ayelet, did you feel that too, especially living in the States?
I don't know if there's a big if I felt the difference like Lihi because she's there and I'm here. I can say I can talk about the first thing you said about the fact that there's a correlation to the time where we are now. That you said you're happy that it's actually airing now, and I think it's actually really true and interesting, because I think one of the layers of this show is not being a writer that's not being able to write, and then stuck in a room in this claustrophobic place where you are not being able to create or produce or be what you used to be, and that suffocation where Alice begins the story, that to me is actually reflecting the time we are, because when we sit at home during COVID and especially when, you know, we were stuck in the houses and during quarantine or whatnot, there is exactly that, the sense of like, who are we now? A sense of identity, unclear identity. If we can't produce, who am I? What am I? What is my worth? and I think kind of hits where Alice begins the story.
For sure. Sigal, was there a scene or a moment or a plot twist for you that was the most challenging to write or to find?
It all was. Like, I finished writing episode 1 and I was like, what am I going to do now? Or it's always tough. And, you know, also the first day of shooting, it was like, I really, nobody can tell because I have like I've heard seem like very cool persona, or you can't tell even now that I'm like shaking from every video interview or anything. But like the first day of filming, I was really having an anxiety attack, and I was like, how am I going to direct this? I wrote something. I think it's actually good. Maybe I'll bring a good director so that I don't, you know, fuck this thing up. And so I think it's always challenging, and I think every episode that kind of you finish is like, wow, I can't believe another one is done, and every twist that was found in the story, and going back and kind of putting it all together. So it was all this kind of puzzle, and it was, and you know, and I think that's part of what I wanted to show, you know, talking about a love letter to the female director or to the creator, let's say. I think it always combines pure joy, because I think whoever does this, there's not a lot of things that bring you joy as creating something and directing something, and with that, there's always a lot of, I think, panic and anxiety and what am I doing, and is this worth it? I'm you know, you really go through, I mean, especially writing something like this. I mean, this isn't based on a book, or it's not anything historical, so there were moments where like panic, anxiety attacks. This is what am I doing? What am I doing? And so yes, it was all between challenge and, you know, days walking around saying I'm a genius, and then days saying this is the worst. This is going to finish my career.
We all have those days. Ayelet, I know that Sigal didn't give you the script to the final episode until I think until later, right? You were already in. What was your reaction when you saw how this series ended?
Sigal gave me a bunch of episodes, and then all the way until 7. I read them, and I had an idea where the story is going, and she was very wise to do that. She didn't want me to judge anything, because she wanted me to have, through the rehearsal, an opportunity to look at it like the viewer does, with a first look. Mm-hmm. And so I think it was the last day of rehearsals when she gave me the last episode, and I read it, and I didn't change my mind. I think the beautiful thing about good writing is that there is a sense of the subconscious is always there, whether it's in the background or up front. It's always there. So internally, I kind of knew where this is going, but didn't know the details. I can't explain I have to be very careful.
You can't.
I know. So, but that's what I can say. I can say that this was there all the time, exactly there. But towards the end of the filming, where we shot towards the end, the episode 8, and I think Sigal went back to rewriting a few things, and she made it really like crystal clear, and it was really beautiful to see how the process affected her and her writing and how this affected us, it was like a beautiful dance of this whole thing coming together. And I actually really enjoyed it. Because at first I was like, what do you mean I can't read the end? I gotta read the end. I gotta know the end. And she said, trust me, you don't want to know the end. And she was right, actually. She gave me an opportunity to be really objective instead of subjective.
Lihi, when you play a character who is so larger than life, like Sophie, did you find yourself after you wrapped thinking about, this is what I think may have happened to her, or either filling in a backstory or a future story?
Yeah, of course. About the end of the script, I totally said to Sigal that she also didn't want me to read the end of the script, but I told her that I have to, because if I felt like all the time that I had to know.
No, with you, I wanted you to read it. I just wanted to wait for the
right moment.
Yeah, for the right moment.
Yeah, and all the time I was so nervous to read it because I all the time felt that I had to know what's going on with that girl. You know, why does she act like she does, and why she's so crazy? Why she's so manipulative? Why she can be so mean and so like sexually? What's going on with your sexuality? So I all the time felt
Does
that
she
I
own
had
any bras?
What?
Does she own any bras?
No, I don't think so. She doesn't care. She doesn't care about bras. So I felt like I all the time need to know her background, so it won't be like only I'm crazy, I'm so sexy, I'm young girl and joyful, and I hope the audience will see the end and will understand. It will be really sucks if they won't understand. But But I felt like, when I played Sophie, that time, so I felt like after I, went home, so I felt I am the character. I know it's a cliche, and a lot of actresses and actors say it, that they living the character. But I actually felt that I can't do a cut with her confidence. Like, she has so much confidence. Like, even when I walked the street, so I felt like I need to be seen, like Sophie, She all the time has that want to be seen. So all the time I felt like I went crazy while I played her. Yeah. It was a crazy
Sigal,
time.
what can you say about maybe another season? Do you have in your mind maybe further stories with these characters? And I feel that there could be, even with these, and also just a spin-off with Alice's mother-in-law as just a comment.
Yep. That absolutely spin-off for Tammy. No, this story is comes to an end in episode 8. So it's done. This story is closed. It's like a movie in that sense. I mean, it always was like an 8-episode movie, but it's just this one movie. It's not for this story.
Well, I'm so excited. Everyone should watch until the end to see the conclusion of this very thrilling movie. I want to thank Lihi and Ayelet and Sivan so much for joining me. Losing Alice is streaming on Apple TV Plus right now. For sure. Do not miss a moment. Do not miss that finale. Congratulations to all three of you. I can't wait to see what you all do next. Thank you so much to everyone for joining us, and to Taj, and to everyone at 92Y.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Jessica.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica.